Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my English learning channel. Today, I will tell you a very emotional story. A story about war, hope, and never giving up. Our story takes place in the 1940s, during a time of war. The world was full of chaos, fear, and hunger. In a small European city lived Daniel Kovacs. He was not a soldier, not a leader, not a rich man. He was just a simple mechanic, an ordinary worker with ordinary dreams. But destiny had prepared for him a path full of pain, struggle, and also unshakable hope. The training began in a crumbling factory, its windows shattered, its walls scarred by bombs. Inside, dozens of men gathered, each desperate for a chance to survive. Among them stood Daniel, wearing the same torn coat, his hands rough but steady. From the very first day, the program tested them without mercy. They worked from dawn until late night, repairing broken engines, drafting mechanical designs, lifting iron beams with bare hands. Many quit after only a week, too weak, or too hopeless to continue. But Daniel stayed. Every time his body wanted to collapse, he thought of Sofia's face when training ended each evening. His struggle was not over. He would rush across the city, carrying his daughter in his arms, racing to reach the shelter before curfew. Some nights they arrived too late and had to sleep in stairwells or in half-destroyed buildings, the winter wind cutting through their thin clothes. Sofia often coughed in her sleep, and Daniel wrapped himself around her to keep her warm. His shoes had holes, his stomach was empty, but he never let go of determination. During the day, he worked harder than anyone else, answering questions quickly, solving problems no one else could. At night, he whispered to his daughter, "One day, Sofia, we will have a real home. One day, this pain will end." Every sunrise brought exhaustion, but also one thought that kept him alive. I must not give up. For her, I must endure. Months passed, and the training reached its final stage. Only a few men remained, each one exhausted, each one desperate. The supervisors announced that the last test would decide who would be chosen for work and who would be sent away. On that cold morning, Daniel walked into the factory workshop with trembling hands. The task was simple in words but brutal in practice. Repair a damaged engine under strict time, then design a blueprint for future use. Failure meant losing everything. Daniel's stomach was empty, his coat threadbare, his shoes nearly falling apart. But when he glanced at the doorway, he saw Sofia peeking inside, her big eyes filled with silent hope. In that moment, fear left him. He bent over the machine, his hands moving with a speed and precision he had never known. The hours crawled by. Sweat ran down his face, mixing with the dust and oil. Around him, some men cursed, some broke down, others gave up entirely. But Daniel kept whispering to himself, "Don't stop. Don't give up. She is waiting for you." When the final whistle blew, Daniel placed his blueprint on the table. His heart pounded like a drum. This was his last chance. If he failed, he and Sofia would return to hunger, to the cold streets. As the judges examined his work, silence filled the room. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He stood frozen, praying, waiting for the words that could change their lives forever. The factory hall was silent as the supervisors reviewed the final projects. Daniel stood at the back, his hands shaking, his chest heavy with fear. Every second felt like an eternity. Around him, the other men whispered, their faces pale, their eyes hollow with exhaustion. Finally, one of the officials called out, "Daniel Kovacs." Daniel stepped forward, his legs weak, his mind spinning. He braced himself for failure, for the crushing words he had feared every night. He thought of Sofia, waiting outside, and pain filled his chest. What if he had not done enough? The official looked at the blueprint, then at Daniel. His stern face softened just slightly. "Your work is precise. Your repairs were faster than the others. We have decided you will be offered a position." For a moment, Daniel did not understand. The words seemed unreal, like a dream he had no right to believe. His mouth opened, but no sound came. Then tears welled in his eyes. He bowed his head and whispered, thank you, sir." When he walked out of the hall, Sofia ran to him. He lifted her into his arms, his tears falling onto her hair. "Daddy did it," he whispered, voice trembling. "We have a future now." That night, they still slept in a cold shelter. But everything had changed. For the first time, Daniel felt the heavy chains of despair begin to break. Hope was no longer a dream. It was real. The stern manager entered the room, his footsteps echoing across the factory floor. In his hand was a single sheet of paper, the decision that would shape Daniel's fate. With a firm voice, he said, "Daniel Kovacs, you've been chosen as chief engineer." For a moment, the world stood still. Daniel stared at the paper, unable to breathe. Then the weight of months of hunger, cold, and fear crashed down on him. His knees grew weak and tears poured freely. He clutched the paper to his chest as if it were life itself. Outside, Sofia waited. When Daniel stepped into the light, she ran into his arms. He lifted her high, holding her close, his tears falling onto her small cheeks. "We made it, my little one," he whispered. "From today, we have food, we have a home. We survived because we never gave up." That night, though they still slept on a thin cot in the shelter, the air felt different. Daniel no longer saw walls of despair. He saw the first sunrise of new life. His heart carried peace, not fear. For the first time, he believed tomorrow would bring warmth instead of cold. Years later, as Sofia played safely in their new home, Daniel often looked at her and remembered the vow he had kept. Life had been merciless, but hope had never abandoned them. And he knew one truth above all: happiness belongs to those who endure, those who refuse to surrender.